Alright, welcome to another Infinity Kingdom guide. In this one we're going to talk about wind. We're going to talk about a wind endgame dodge build loadout. I've been running this in the physical damage meta, seeing some players doing exceptionally well with it. I think that dodge is probably the most underrated mechanic of the game. People seem to think that just by getting dragon talents and coercion and stuff like that, you actually hit cap. Well, you do not. You're not hit capped that way, and against dodge builds, you're gonna keep missing, and that's really powerful mechanic. So wind is obviously the best, or well, the only element able to run a competitive dodge build, and as such, that's what we're gonna see. This build kills holies and earth quite well. Because it is a dodge build, it works exceptionally well against physical damage teams. However, it also means that it is being hard countered by big magic damage setups. So I mean, if you're up against a dual mage fire, you're gonna have a rough time. Other than that, this is a very powerful build that is gonna do you very well in the physical damage meta that is currently running on patch 2.4. So, disclaimer up front, wind is not a free-to-play friendly setup. You do need to spend quite a bit to get especially the wind dragon up in levels, not to speak of the dragon talents. Now, wind is a particularly powerful element, and the dragon is actually competitive even without talents. But if you get like 2-3 talents on the wind dragon, it will compete with maxed dragons from other setups. So strengths and weaknesses for this build. I kind of hinted at it already, but it's a very powerful build that works to hard counter the physical builds like Earth, Earth with Khan, Earth with Bethany, Pure Earth for that matter, Earth Wind hybrids with Barker Kin, Holy setups, etc., as well as other wind setups. There's a lot of people running Atalanta, Barker, and Arthur. This will do exceptionally well against that as well. It also does decent in PvE, gnome raiding, but is horrible at killing bosses, so for that you're probably going to want a fire second watch. It is very weak against fire teams, and it's being hard countered by dual mage fire, seeing as we're running dodge, and dodge is literally useless against magic. Then mages are gonna melt this setup quite hard, and fire adds the additional elemental weakness, elemental exposure, meaning that you're gonna fall apart in seconds. But as long as you're not up against big mages, you're gonna do quite well. How does it work? The physical damage deals a lot of physical damage. Deals it as cleave and as sort of backline nuke. You have the Quinn artifact, which means that your cleave is gonna melt backliners as well. In addition to that, we are running Atalanta in this build as well, meaning snipe and exceptionally is an exceptional backline nuke. Secondly, we've got strong sustain. We're running sustain auras, we're doing wind protection, we're doing Charles, meaning we have very powerful shields, if not the best sustain in the game. We're also doing blessings, and well, the third, we're doing dodge. Gives us a lot of sustain, gives it a lot of survive, and it is, I'm gonna say it is the most underrated and powerful mechanic in Infinity Kingdom right now. So let's unpack a bit this 1, 2, 3 ladder. We've got physical damage, we've got strong sustain, and we've got dodge. For the physical damage, we're dealing solid cleave damage, we're doing backline pressure. Any setup that have squishy backlines are going to drop very fast. Even, assist absolute defense backlines are gonna melt quite quickly, since both Atalanta and Barca will make quick work of enemy backlines. This is because we're also doing, the Quinn artifact, meaning Barca's cleave go beyond just the nearest enemies, and obviously we're running Quinn, meaning wounds and negating the sustainability of backlines. Moving on to our sustain, second point. We're running Berserk for attack speed, since both Atalanta and Barca is scaling exceptionally well with the attack speed. In addition to the damage, it also provides us a solid sustain booster. The passive healing from just hit, especially against non-wound setups. You'll see a surprisingly large effect from Berserk healing, especially in a wind setup with high attack speed. This slow sustain playstyle fits well with the dragon healing and with shields, meaning you're getting sort of a shield buffer that allows for healing over time effects to take effect. Third, we have the dodge. We're running a dodge build here, and that means we're taking full advantage of wind protection that offers massive healing to our Barca, since we're boosting his dodge chance massively, and every time he dodges, he is healing. To dodge, we take advantage of the misleading and after image, in combination with the Wind Dragon's Turmoil Breath, which provides an accuracy debuff to our enemies. Now, with both the Turmoil Breath reducing accuracy by 25%, the after image effect for 12 seconds increasing our dodge by 25%, misleading reducing enemy accuracy by 20%. You can kind of see where we're going with this. We're really stacking up the percentages, and having simply coercion is not going to cut it anymore. So even against stacked accuracy teams, you will be dodging. The result of all of this is a massive reduction to enemy hit rate and a good chance for your immortals to dodge the enemy physical attacks. Now, physical attacks, beware, not magic. Dodging is, however, a very powerful defensive capability in the current meta, since physical damage is king as of 2.4. Just in general, dodge is quite underrated, as I said multiple times now, and I think that what people don't really think, people want to reduce the amount of damage taken, people want to provide healing or sustain. But if you've ever played other games, like maybe you've played competitive RPGs and something like that, MMO RPGs, you'll know that being hit capped is alpha omega, because missing an attack means 100% damage negation. That's massive, and as such, you always need to be hit capped. Doing this kind of dodge build means that you're avoiding a ton of damage. See this example, this is a Hannibal Barca that I've been fighting. In this image you can see that I'm missing 67% of his attacks. That means that 67% of all attacks is dealing 0 damage. That's a ton of damage being mitigated by simple dodge mechanics. Even against coercion setups, I've been fighting this against my own, fighting this with my hybrid main, and my Alex has coercion and a full maxed out accuracy dragon. Check this out, I'm still missing. I'm getting 24% misses in this example. That's massive damage. So that's how the build works. Let's dive into the meat of it and talk about the actual Tower of Knowledge passive loadout. So for this build setup, running it up front, we're gonna do Emperor Quinn at first. Emperor Quinn is running coercion, making sure that we miss as few hits as possible. As I've said a couple times by now, missing and dodging is a surprisingly huge deal, so we want to run coercion ourselves to at least reduce the amount of misses that we get, because we are doing exclusively physical damage ourselves. We're running Atalanta, we're not doing Baldwin. That means coercion is mandatory. Secondly, we're doing assist to retain the troop count of our Atalanta. She's our main, her and Barker are both powerhouses in dealing damage, and we want to retain troop count as much as possible. It's very important since Atalanta is one of the main immortals for the setup. Lastly, we're doing after image. To boost our dodge. As I said before, it's a very important part, and this passive is crucial and key for any dodge synergy build. Moving on to Atalanta, she's all about damage. Hence we're running Death Breath and Anger, boosting the damage as much as we can. If you're able to, if you're a whale spending on Triss, then you do want to run Desire here as well. If not, if you do, then you should give Death Breath to Barker or lose an aura. Lastly, we're running Misleading, which is also a crucial part. If you swap out Misleading to another immortal, make sure that you're still using it. Hannibal Barker, third up. We use a combination of damage pressure and sustain, making sure that we stay alive long enough for our dodge chance to boost sustain on Barker, meaning we're running wind protection, adding additional dodge and healing once we dodge. Likewise, we're building this to make sure that once we dodge, we're getting healed. Once we attack, we're getting healed with Berserk. We get passive healing from the dragon and hits. There's a lot of hot effects, healing over time effects. We can't allow that to be nullified by an enemy wounds effect. So we're running Dual Master on Barker, and this is obligatory as well. In addition to providing us an immunity to wounds effects, it does also improve his physical attack nicely, which works quite well in our fast attack speed cleave setup. Cleave being the last passive, because it does stack with his ultimate ability, and that just makes him a absolute cleave beast. Lastly, we've got Charles. We are using Charles for this setup instead of either Saladin or King Arthur. If you do not have Charles, you can run him with I prefer King Arthur. I think he is also quite an underrated immortal, but he's not as powerful in a dodge build. That being said, you can run him. In that case, you want to swap out Adrenaline Rush and instead do either Speed Blessing or Blessing of Defense. In case you do actually fight against mages occasionally, you want to run Energy Suppression here instead. Now, talking about King Arthur, using him instead, if you are far enough along in the conquest progression that you have the new Wind Immortal Toyotomi. Sorry, that pronunciation is horrible. But if you've got this guy, then you want to run him instead of Charles. And he is in fact better than Charles, because he does provide additional dodge value and dodge chance to our immortal, as well as improving our survivability and damage once we do dodge. He's an excellent immortal, and he makes this team even stronger. Another fun thing to mention is that if you do have a Manco Holy Immortal lying around not being used, he does make this setup quite surprisingly strong as well, and can even be replacement for Barker using Toyotomi and Manco up front. That's a fun little side thing. If you're a whale and you got it lying around, try it out. It works quite surprisingly well, and people will be pretty impressed. But back to the main standard build, which does support Charles, because I'm not gonna assume that you're far along in in conquest seasons, nor that you have a random Manco lying around. Because let's face it, if you have Manco, you're running Holy anyway. So Charles, we're running him with Adrenaline Rush, like I said, and we're doing the Berserk Aura. Berserk increases attack speed of our mortals and provides a nice sustain. Works exceptionally well in synergy with Quint's attack speed ultimate and our Barca and Atalanta, who are both models that scale very well with attack speed. Besides that, we have the must-have passive Oaken Guard, reducing the incoming physical damage and providing a huge boost to this team's sword ability. Oaken Guard is mandatory in any main march, especially in the current physical meta. So that's the build. There you have it. There are some slight versions of it based on options if you are far enough along, but this is the default loadout and it works very well. Now, one thing I want to mention for this build is the Wind Dragon is a bottleneck problem. Run the Wind Dragon, farming soul fragments, it's a lot more difficult than other elements, earth, lightning, fire, water. Can be troublesome and a big problem for players since wind is costly to get. If you are, however, able to get it, it works very well. Wind can be very powerful, and once you get 1, 2, 3 points in your dragon tree, it becomes exceptionally strong. With the 3, 1, 10 loadout, I was able to consistently outperform a maxed Earth Dragon. That's quite surprising to me, at least. That's it for this one. A very powerful dodge build. It's a lot of fun to run, and it is a setup that will do exceptionally well if you are like most endgame servers in a competitive physical damage meta where Earth and Holy physical damage are king. Well, if you stack enough dodge, you can actually break that. So best of luck, have fun. I promise to do Earth Wind Hybrid, which I run as main myself, as my next guide. I've seen a lot of that in the comments of late and on Discord as well, getting PMs and stuff like that. I heard you guys, and that's hopefully going to come out next week, so stay tuned. As always, please do subscribe to the channel. I consistently release new content here on the IK channel and on the official IK Wiki website. Links are in the description. On these channels you can find guides from everything in IK, from events to talents, passives, finished builds and game mechanics. With that, I'm gonna leave you, and as always, thank you for watching and see you for the next one.